Welcome to the next video in the series of tips and tricks. Today we're going to be talking about prepping for an interview. That pretty much encompasses everything from before, during and after as well. There's a few things you can think of. To touch on before to start with, first thing that I have always done and always pretty much recommend anybody to do is just to research the company, to be honest. There's so much to look at online nowadays. A lot of people don't even do any research, which always blows my mind a little bit. It's nice to know what type of company you're coming into. Things such as like Glassdoor, Indeed, most companies have a job account on there, so you can look at reviews. You can just Google reviews, and then just things about the company, you know, such as like their culture, the environment. Have they got mottos? For example, Team Locums is Love, Enable, Protect, and you know, there's reasons for that. So yeah, really just sort of dive deep into the company. So at least you know if you actually want to have the interview, as well as obviously, you know, knowing about the company.
I prepare common questions. An interview is a two-way thing. It's not just one way and you're getting a question thrown at you. Have questions that's going to help you decide, like Grant said, if it's somewhere that you see yourself and somewhere that you want to, pursue. You know, it's not just a one-way thing. You want to make sure you're involved in the company, and you can see yourself growing there as well.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Common questions in there, I suppose. Basic questions, outdated questions, sales questions such as sell this pen to me. Yeah, obviously nobody likes this question, to be honest, nowadays, but it still crops up sometimes.
I think it's better to have an answer that's realistic as well, rather than something that's made up and just put up on the spot. You know, you want to have something that really does show you across to the interview in that instance.
Pretty much, and just don't regurgitate that kind of answer. You can read any answer online, but don't just regurgitate it. Like you said, make it personal to you. Yeah. I suppose other common questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah.
Things like that. So yeah, you can prepare for these things quite easily. Yeah.
Moving on. So we're approaching the interview now. A big one would be being on time. That kind of goes without saying, but some people do be, they are late. And a saying that my mother always used to tell me is, if I'm on time, I'm late, and if I'm early, I'm on time. So I try and stick with that and really just, make sure you're there early.
Pretty much, yeah. Things to think about to bring with you. You could bring your CV, for example, and just hand out a copy to everybody that's there. If you're going for a job in sales, you can bring your sales figures. So I suppose really it's just relevant to the job that you're applying for as to what you would bring. You might want to bring qualifications, depending on what type of job you're applying for. There's just things you could bring to assist with your interview and aid your interview.
Yeah, touching on that, your attire, you want to turn up in the right attire. Again, like what Grant said, you want to make it relevant to where you're going. You want to get kind of one attempt at first impression. So you want to make it count, even though you may think it's not something someone would bother about or really care. It's always important, and you'd rather be safe than sorry with these kind of situations.
Yeah.
Working towards during and after the interview, a big thing for me is definitely body language. I probably sound a bit quieter. I don't really look as confident when I'm like this. But however, when I sit back, shoulders back, I've not changed how I'm talking. I've not decided to shout. I just sound a bit more there. There's a lot more projection in my voice, and it really does come across. For me, confidence is a big thing in an interview.
Yeah.
And if I'm against stuff like that, it doesn't look like I'm interested in what you're telling me. If I'm here and I'm engaged in the conversation, they invest a bit more into you, is what I would find.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a very important thing to kind of remember, really.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. During the interview as well, I suppose you can really think about salary. Going into the job, you should probably already have an idea about salary. It's on most job adverts. If it's not on a job advert, it should be. And it's the point where you can probably start looking at negotiating. Probably a benefit of using an agency is that we can either let you know the salary range realistically. We can let you know top end, bottom end, whereas maybe an employer just puts one salary on there. We can negotiate for you. Often negotiations happen in an interview just sort of naturally, but we can do that before, we can do that after. That's probably about it.
It takes a little stress off the interview as well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So it's really being negotiated for you. we kind of, working with an agency, we can ask the questions that people don't necessarily feel open to ask or want to ask.
Yeah.
It's a bit nerve-wracking sometimes, it adds the extra bit of the pressure.
It just lets you focus in on the selling yourself a bit, yeah. And then really, I suppose, just sort of like following up after an interview. And it's not a common thing, really, but sometimes it's worth following up after an interview and just sort of saying thank you. I think that kind of goes a long way. It shows that you are willing, you've appreciated their time as well as obviously they appreciate your time. Really just sort of, you can look at following up afterwards with an email, a letter, whatever you think sort of more appropriate, really. Hopefully that's helped a little bit anyway. We are available for more questions if you need to. And I know that Paul's going to write a bit more of a blog. So in the comments there's a blog, so just have a look if you want any more information, or actually contact either of us if you want to ask any questions and need any advice.